Right, welcome back to the channel everyone, welcome back to another video. We have a pretty important decision to make today. In fact, I've already made the decision, but today I'm going to let you guys know what the plan is going forward with the Fiesta project. Now, if you haven't watched the last Fiesta video, I recommend you go watch that first before watching this one. Everything will make a lot more sense and you'll understand what I'm talking about. But if you can't be bothered to watch it, basically last episode of the Fiesta project, I took the seats out, took the carpet up because I wanted to inspect the shell for rust, and lo and behold, being an old Ford, it was riddled with rust. The floor pans, both the passenger side and the driver's side at the front, are pretty much both completely shot. There's some big holes going straight through to the floor. It's not a very pretty sight. I'll overlay some images now so you can see it. It wasn't very much fun discovering that on the Fiesta, but I kind of, in the back of my head, expected it to happen. Old Fords, they just rust. That is just what they do. That car is now 17 years old. It's a pretty old car, and those Fiesta Mark 5s are very, very common to rust. The Z-Tech S's, there's not many of them left purely because of that rust issue, so I really should have seen that coming, to be quite honest with you. So I finished off the last video with a little bit of a cliffhanger where I didn't say what I was going to do going forward, because I kind of wanted to step back, ask a few people, speak to a few friends and stuff, and just sort of give myself a couple of days to think it over and decide what the best course of action was to go forward with the Fiesta project, or whether I should go forward with it at all, or whether I should just sort of scrap it and end it there. Now, after some careful consideration, like I said, I've spoken to some people, I've read the comments on the video itself, spoken to my dad, and just had a few thoughts of my own, and I think that right now there is not a more perfect time for me to learn to weld. And what does that mean? Obviously that means that the car is going to be saved. I cannot bear the thought of sending that Fiesta to the scrapyard. I've got quite a lot of unconditional love for that car, and I just can't give up on it that easily. I can't give up on it without at least giving it a go. I've always wanted to learn to weld as well. There's going to be cars in the future that are going to need welding on this channel, and so to be able to do it myself just makes sense, right? I can do all the mechanical stuff myself pretty much. So to be able to do like bodywork and welding and that sort of stuff, and even create my own stuff, like fabricate stuff, exhausts, that sort of thing, being able to weld is really like an invaluable skill. It's something that if you're into cars and you're going to be working on the cars for the rest of your life, like I'm going to be, being able to stick pieces of metal together by welding really is a skill that you should have. So that is the announcement. We are going to be saving the Fiesta. There is a lot more to it, which I'll explain in a moment, but that is what the main purpose of this video was. I just want to let you know that the Fiesta is not going to get scrapped. At least not yet, and it's not going to be given up on that easily. I am going to try and save it. I'm going to do the work myself. I'm going to teach myself how to weld, which is going to be quite a process in itself, which kind of leads me on to the next part of this. I'm not going to be sitting down this whole video and talking. I do want to go out to the car and sort of do a few more bits, but I just want to get this out of the way so that you guys know what the plan of action is for the Fiesta going forward from this point. I do want to learn to weld, which is what I'm going to do, but that in itself is going to take time. I'm going to need a lot of practice because I want the work that's going to get done to the Fiesta to be of a certain standard. So I do want to learn, and I do want to be good at it before I tackle the car. I want to do lots of practice in the shed, lots of practice pieces. I'll try welding some bits together. I'm going to get myself a welder. I'm in contact with people already about getting a welder set up in here. That is pretty exciting in itself. The thought of being able to weld would be pretty cool. I've already got welding helmets. You've probably seen these hung up in the shed. I've got one here and there's one just behind you over there. So I've already got the helmets. I just need to get a welder and sort of the wire and stuff to go with it, and then I can crack on and start welding. Now there is some not so good news to go along with the good news of saving the Fiesta, and that is the project is going to have to be put on a slight backlog. Now there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one is the weather. It's going to really get cold soon. It's now November, like almost in the middle of November, and it's only going to get colder going through to December and January, and then it usually starts to warm up like early in the year next year. So my plan of action is this. Number one is I want to get the Fiesta shell stripped down to as bare minimum as possible. If I can, I just want it to be the shell itself. I don't want anything else on it. That means the bumpers coming off, the fuel tank coming off, anything that's in the way of any metal that needs welding needs to come off. So I'm going to strip it down as much as I possibly can, way further than it is right now. I thought that the state that's in now was kind of going to be the furthest I would have to go with stripping it, but now with the whole welding thing, I'm going to have to strip it down even further. So I'm going to strip down even further, and then over the winter, so it's going to take time. Over the winter I'm going to teach myself how to weld, because that means I can be in my shed in the warm and out of the snow and stuff like that, and I can teach myself how to weld. And that means that Fiesta's just going to have to sit there probably for a couple of months. I would have liked to have sort of steamrolled this and like got cracking straight away, but in reality it's going to take time for me to learn how to weld. It's not something that you can just pick up and just sort of weld the car back together. It's really going to take time to learn the skills of welding, learn the skills of like cutting the metal and fabricating metal together. There's a lot to it basically, and it's going to take time. The Fiesta's going to take a back seat. I'm going to work on other things for now. I've still got the engine to rebuild. All this stuff on here is from the engine, so I can rebuild that in the shed over the winter as well. I can learn to weld, and then I can just work on my other cars as well over the winter. Stuff that's not so involved, because welding out in the freezing cold is probably not going to be the most fun thing, especially because I'm on a driveway, no shelter over me whatsoever, not in a garage or anything like that. So I am going to wait for the weather to get a little bit better early next year before I really start tackling the welding on that thing. Or if I had a garage, then I could probably start tackling it a little bit earlier than that, but realistically in my setup that I have, I'm going to have to wait, and that's just the way it is. So I don't think there's really a lot else I can say in here on the subject, so we're going to go out to the car. I'm going to give you a walk around again. I'm going to show you some other places that I found little bits of rust, and I'll show you exactly what the plan is to get it stripped down as well, just so you know how far I'm going to be taking this. Right, so here she is, still looking sorry for herself. Not a lot's changed. I haven't really done anything to this thing since you would have last seen it. I'll just give you a quick little overview. The holes are still there. They haven't welded themselves up magically. What's good is a lot of people have had these cars that watch me, or they have them right now. And so I've had a lot of people tell me other areas on the car to check for rust that may look like this. One of them is on the outer sills. These cars actually come with the Zetec S's come with side skirts. You can see here there's like a plastic side skirt covering the actual outer sill, so it's a good idea to take them off, because a lot of times there'll be like a big old hole in the sill here, so I want to take them off and have a look at them. I think it's just 8 mils that run along the bottom, and they come off. And then also under the door seals themselves, so these rubber seals that go around that seal the doors in, if you pull them up, a lot of times you'll find rust under these. But these ones actually look pretty good, to be honest. There doesn't seem to be any rust along these ones. That's nice to see. There's a tiny bit here where they join. This is about where they sit, and obviously water gets in there, so there's a little bit there to deal with, and a little bit there to deal with. See that as a hole right there. Again, little bits and pieces. Also, I saw this when I took the exhaust and stuff off, but underneath the rear, this isn't structural sort of thing, but you can see how rusty. This is the part that usually holds the spare wheel. The spare wheel sits in there, and then that lowers down when you want to change your spare. There's quite a bit of rust in there. There's also quite a bit of rust on the rear chassis legs. You see them? So they're probably going to need some attention as well. The fuel tank itself is actually quite rusty, so I want to drop that down, clean that up before that goes back in, check if there's any rust underneath that as well. I essentially just want to gut this whole thing, take everything off that can possibly come off, and just look over the whole shell front to back and weld anything that needs to be done. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly whip the side skirts off, and we'll have a look under there. The trouble is with these things is lots of mud and water can get caught in them, and as you're driving along it'll flick up and it'll end up in there, something like that, and completely rots it out because it's got nowhere to go. It just sits there. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off, and we'll have a look underneath them. So it looks like after all the drama with the inside of the car, luck is on my side today, and the outside sills are rock solid. There's not a single piece of rust on them except for one tiny piece right at the back on this driver's side one. I'll quickly show you what I mean. These outer sills, as you know, I've taken the plastic side skirts off. underneath there we have the outer sill, which is this part right here. And a lot of time on cars, someone sent me one on Instagram, a video of it. It was rotted out from front to back, all the way along, big old gaping hole all the way along. But on this one, as you can see, we are solid as a rock, not a speck of rust, no flakiness, all the way along. There you go. Now there's a tiny bit just at the end here, a little bit right there, hardly anything. It looks like at some point this car has also been undersealed. I don't know if you'll be able to see it that well, but along here you can see all that black shiny sort of tar looking stuff. Looks like it's been undersealed once upon a time, so hopefully that's helped preserve it somewhat, but I'm quite happy with that. The other side is exactly the same. They're both in identical condition, which I'm happy with. There you go. See, just about. I'm happy with that. Right, so whilst I'm at it, whilst I'm taking off bits and pieces, I'm going to go ahead and remove the rear bumper, just because it gives me a better look at the rear of the car as well, the rear crash bar and stuff like that. It's going to need to come off at some point, so I might as well do it now. It's only a few bolts that hold it on. Well, that in itself was worth doing. The back bumper is now off, as you've just seen, and lo and behold, more rust. Just stuck my fingers straight through this, so this is going to have some attention. I think there's another piece here that's probably going to need some attention because that feels rotten, and there's some rot here as well. Probably some more on the other side. This side's not as bad. It's pretty solid actually, to be honest with you. Oh, maybe not. I said solid. What I meant was extremely weak, but that can all be replaced as well. This is what I wanted to do. I just want to check the whole thing, just whack everything and just see what happens. It's quite a hole, that. But this side is about the same. And this is that frame which the spare tyre goes on, and that's rusty as heck. I might actually take that off as well. Right, now we are slowly but surely running out of daylight. It doesn't look like it on the camera, but it's actually getting quite dark. It's around 3:30 and it gets dark at about 4 o'clock now, so I haven't got too much light left. So with the bumper off, I'm going to tackle one more job today, and that is to remove the wheel arch liners from the front and rear wheels, just so that I can see behind there. The problem with this car is the wheel arch liners on this are made of almost like a carpet material, and because of that they soak up water, and when they hold the water in there, the wheel arches can rust. So I want to take them out and just have a look behind them as well. That's right, so hopefully you can see this. These are the wheel arch liners I was just talking about, and they are made of, if I can shine my light up there, they're made of like a carpet material. They're not plastic like some of them are. I think the front ones are plastic, but these ones are like this weird material, carpet, whatever, and the mud and the dirt gets trapped in them, and then things like that just start to happen. So chances are there's probably going to be some rust in this area, and that's what I want to check. It also sits along the frame down here, and it sort of curves under it, so it's probably stuff that's been sitting in there and rusting this out as well. It feels quite solid to the touch, but I just want to check it. It's just held in by a bunch of these little Torx screws. Right, well there we go. That is the underneath of that wheel liner. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be actually. There is a bit of rust running along sort of the bottom of the frame, but it's really not bad at all. It's sort of just like a bit of surface rust, stuff that can just be treated, doesn't need to be welded. This tab's going to have to be welded back on. As you can see, there's a hole forming, so that's going to have to be cut out and welded back on, because that's what holds the brake pipe in. That's going to need to be replaced, but other than that, actually looks pretty good in here. I'm surprised, I'll be honest. Right, well, there we go. Apart from a bunch of mud on the floor, this side as well, on the rear, actually looks pretty good. Even better than the other side, I'd say. Barely any rust, which is nice. It's kind of been contained somehow. I was expecting to see it a lot worse back here because of those carpeted wheel arch liners, but it's actually pretty good. So I am surprised. Same can't be said for the rear, as you've seen. We've got holes aplenty, but just gives us more stuff to practice on, I guess. I've also done the front, but there's not really a lot to see back here, really. These are pretty clean, as you can see, like one little surface bubble there. But other than that, in here is pretty decent, to be honest with you. Same the other side. Right, so there we have it for today. I don't think there's anything else I can really do for now. I apologise that it wasn't a very exciting video today, but it was something that I needed to do. I needed to make this video. The basic premise was just to let you know that the Fiesta project is going to keep going forward. It's just going to be put on hold for now. But in the meantime, we are going to learn to weld. We're going to rebuild the engine, and I've got a bunch of other stuff to do over the winter whilst it's cold. Other cars to work on, jobs on my dad's cars, jobs on my cars. Plenty of stuff still to come your way. It just won't be Fiesta related. This may be the last time that you see the Fiesta for a little while. There's not really anything I can do on it right now until I get that welding done. There's no point in going forward with anything else until the welding on the chassis is done. So I'm sorry that's going to be put on hold for a little while, but as I explained, that is just how the cookie crumbles sometimes, and that's the way we're going to go. If you enjoyed the video nonetheless, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you head over to my Instagram. I'm trying to accept as many people as I can at the moment. I've got like a list of 900 people that have requested to follow me, and I'm slowly making my way through that list. So if you have asked to follow me on there, just be patient. I am making my way through. I just get so many requests all the time. They haven't managed to stay on top of it. So there we have it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys back here on Monday at 6 PM for another video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.